St. Kitts and Nevis has had a good track record in CARICOM and the OECS for closer integration, hence its involvement with the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, the CSME, and the associated free movement of people, which regional leaders are now attempting to accelerate. Notwithstanding the commitment to regional integration, practical considerations must factor into decision-making on this issue. In the case of St. Kitts and Nevis, with its small size and small population, there are substantial dangers if free movement is not allowed within situational context. To date, here are the views of the St. Kitts and Nevis Prime Minister and the Premier of Nevis on the issue of free movement of CARICOM nationals.
So St. Kitts and Nevis's position is, we are obviously asking for more data, more information. How will this be implemented? Bring our own issues forward, or will this affect St. Kitts and Nevis? Those are the discussions going on. But in principle, you would want to say integrated region. However, it has to be done in a way where each country will see better and not be at in a worse position, so to put it, or in a position where the citizens are not convinced that it's to the benefit for their country. And therefore, we are looking at it closely and we are monitoring it. But to say that St. Kitts and Nevis is still a part of the process, but we will be a responsible partner in all of it. But we are making sure that nothing that is done will be to the detriment of our country, and by extension, to the detriment of the region.
Because for me, freedom of movement is a welcomed initiative, but there has to be some kind of carve-out for microstates like St. Kitts and Nevis, because we simply run the risk of being completely overwhelmed by just a small fraction of persons from those bigger countries deciding, let us move. I wonder if CARICOM heads have paid any attention to the limitations of scale and size that some of these islands have.
According to one regional integrationist, the CARICOM Secretariat needs to show the citizens of the region just how free movement can be implemented without causing socio-economic difficulties in the smaller member countries of the organization. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
The police are investigating the robbery of Oasis Bar in Stony Grove, Nevis, that occurred on March 23 around 11 p.m. Initial investigations indicate that two masked assailants armed with guns entered the establishment and demanded money. They stole a sum of cash from the register and promptly fled the scene. No one was injured during the incident. The crime scene unit of the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force processed the scene and collected items of evidential value. The police are asking anyone with information about this and other criminal acts to contact the nearest police station or the Crime Stoppers hotline at 707. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
I love the Kiwi because they're real. What you see is what you get. No hidden agenda, no tricks, just real, honest communication.
It's the event of the year when Gospel Outreach Ministries present Jesus Party Sunset Cruise on Sunday, March 31st at 5 p.m. on the Prince Devontae J, featuring M1, Roots Gospel Band, and Tehila. Tickets $60. Call 663-1528 to purchase your tickets. It's the Jesus Party Sunset Cruise, March 31st on the Prince Devontae J, leaving the marina at 5 p.m. Don't you miss it.
In the city. Juice in the city. Juice in the city. Juice in the city.
A solar-powered water desalination plant offered by the United Arab Emirates is about to be constructed. According to sources, the plant is capable of producing 76,000 gallons of water per day. The desalination plant, while described as a solar plant, will operate off the island's power grid during the night whenever necessary. Several ministers of government, including Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew, Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. Denzel Douglas, and Conrad Maynard, Minister with responsibility for water services, turned out to the soil turning ceremony at the Canada Industrial Estate for the plant that was sponsored by the Caribbean Renewable Energy Fund of the UAE, with the government's input being connecting the pipes from the sea to the plant and from the plant into the water distribution system. The UAE will also provide a 3-month stint of training to water services in relation to the plant's maintenance and its operations. Construction is expected to be completed by the middle of 2024, officials have indicated. The Federation began entertaining water desalination after prolonged drought influenced by climate change brought about much lower levels of annual rainfall for several years. With rising demand for drinking water, the solar desalination plant is seen as very helpful, though not resolving the matter completely. Glenn Buck reporting for SK Newsline.
The St. Kitts chapter of the Jam Kit Nev Association was relaunched on Saturday, March 23 at the Wesleyan Outreach Center in Shadwell. President of the St. Kitts chapter, Peter Gay Crawford, explained the purpose of the relaunch and what transpired at the meeting, which is attended by some of the Jamaicans residing in St. Kitts.
Jam Kit Nev Association is a Jamaican association in St. Kitts and Nevis. The St. Kitts chapter, to be specific, had its relaunch on Saturday, March 23, 2024. The executive body of the St. Kitts chapter were introduced to the members. On the executive body, we have the IPP immediate past president, Mr. Brian Peart, secretary, Mrs. Gail Gray Phillip, public relations officer, Mr. Andre Huey, events coordinator, Mr. Marlon Parkinson, treasurer, Ms. Marion Campbell, and assistant treasurer, Ms. Janelle Brown. At our relaunch, the permanent secretary within the Ministry of National Security, Mrs. Cecile Hull, shared with members present the process of regularizing persons' immigration status, encouraging members to take advantage of the amnesty now available and the possible consequences of not taking up the offer. Mrs. Alan Evans from International Trade also spoke about the role international trade plays in regularizing members' status.
Ms. Crawford disclosed some of the activities that the association will be hosting for Jamaicans living in St. Kitts.
There are several activities planned for the year. However, in April, we are planning a get-together. This information will be sent out. However, in June, we have our chapter meeting. We are planning a business fair and a Father's Day brunch. This Father's Day brunch will be free of cost. We are basically giving back to the St. Kitts Society, so all Jamaicans and everybody else, they'll be able to come in and share with.
Ms. Crawford said persons can visit the association's Facebook page to register to become members by filling out an online registration form. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
I love the cable because they're real. What you see is what you get. No hidden agenda, no tricks, just real honest communication.
It's the event of the year when Gospel Outreach Ministries present Jesus Party Sunset Cruise on Sunday, March 31st at 5 p.m. on the Prince Devontae J, featuring M1,
all over me, falling all over me, make way for the Holy Ghost,
Roots Gospel Band, and Tehila. Tickets $60. Call 663-1528 to purchase your tickets. It's the Jesus Party Sunset Cruise, March 31st on the Prince Devontae J, leaving the marina at 5 p.m. Don't you miss it.
Just in the city. Just in the city. Just in the city. Just in the city.
At Digital Print Plus and Crafted by Design, we're thrilled to be your go-to print shop located in the heart of Bastille. From essential services like printing, copying, and laminating, to a diverse array of school supplies, arts and craft materials, and office essentials, we've got you covered. Don't fret, Digital Print Plus and Crafted by Design are here to stay and ready to be your trusted partners for all your printing and craft supply needs. Ready for a visit? Find us at the corner between Dillio and Princess Street. Just look for the vibrant pink and yellow building with white doors. We can't wait to welcome you to our creative haven.
Now at 11, more Americans are safely back home tonight after being rescued from the violence and unrest in Haiti. Nearly 36 people have landed at Orlando International Airport in the last 24 hours. Western News reporter Greg Fox shows us how the state is providing help on many fronts for these grateful evacuees.
The flight was just 90 minutes, but these exhausted people look like they were half a world away from the chaos they escaped. All 9 are Americans who were visiting or temporarily living in Haiti and are now among 48 people, most of them Floridians, rescued during the past week by the state under an executive order from the governor. 21 landed late Saturday night. With gang violence overtaking Port-au-Prince, the evacuees living outside the capital wondered just how much time they had before they were trapped and their lives in jeopardy. This man, heading back to his South Florida home, says the gunfire was getting closer.
Too many people shoot and there, and then too many guns, bow, 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 you know, and my head, you know.
Jamie, you glad to be back?
Yes, I'm glad to be back.
Another woman said she felt safe where she was, but did not know for how much longer.
Cape Haiti, he was wonderful. He don't have trouble just like Port-au-Prince.
While 14 people were flown into Sanford's airport last week, this new temporary facility at OIA is likely to be the hub for processing those on emergency flights. This is actually a multi-agency resource center where people are getting help on a lot of different fronts. You've got different agencies from Florida, including Florida Department of Children and Families over here. You've got the Florida Department of Health over here. And then in case people in the rush to get out of Haiti need a new driver's license, they've got the Department of Motor Vehicles over here and free cell phones being provided by local companies.
Our goal right now is to fly people out every day.
Emergency Management Director Kevin Guthrie says he's hoping the state contractor can fly 1 or more flights per day.
So I think you're going to see us bring our aircraft size down from the 30 passenger or 20 passenger plane, probably closer to the 10 or 12 passenger plane, so that we're sending full flights. We're being cognizant of taxpayer dollars. But at the same time, it's going to be more complicated as we move forward.
Guthrie will be talking with the State Department this week to go over the list of 550 people requesting evacuation to Florida and which arm of the government will get them out of Haiti. In Orlando, Greg Fox, WESH 2 News.
The government of Guyana on Friday expressed its deep concern about Venezuela's recent adoption of a law claiming Guyana's Essequibo region as its own. A statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation noted that this recent action violates Guyana's sovereignty and international law, including a court order and previous agreements between Guyana and Venezuela, the government said in a statement. The statement noted that Guyana remains committed to peace, but will not allow its sovereignty and territorial integrity to be usurped. Guyana urged the international community to reject Venezuela's illegal actions and insist on resolving the border dispute through the International Court of Justice. Minister of Home Affairs Robertson Benz also spoke about the issue during his address at the Forum of the Regional Security System in Georgetown.
We deplore, we are unhappy that the government of Venezuela and its National Assembly just yesterday agreed that they will make Essequibo formally no longer a zone en reclamation, but Venezuelan territory. This is highly regrettable, and it is in violation of the principles of the good faith discussions which were undertaken at Argyle and more latterly in Brazil.
The move by Venezuela's parliament is not expected to have any immediate practical effect, and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro had pledged in meeting with President Irfan Ali, facilitated by CARICOM and observed by the United Nations and others, not to use force against Guyana. While Maduro last month again committed to peace, exchanging pleasantries at a recent meeting in St. Vincent with other leaders of Latin America and the Caribbean, the Venezuelan parliament Thursday went ahead and ratified the outcome of last December's referendum. Minister Ben on Friday reiterated Guyana's commitment to resolving the issue through legal means.
We, of course, expect that Guyana will be vindicated through that process, but we note the risks. We note the challenges which are in Venezuela, and we are concerned about the questions of instability.
Ben also called for rational dialogue to ensure the peaceful resolution of the dispute.
While we continue to be pro, but to look forward to reasonable, rational conversations and engagement to make sure that not only the issue between Guyana and Venezuela is mitigated and poses no risk to either territory, but also in the larger context, the question of maintaining the CARICOM region as a zone of peace.
Minister Ben acknowledged and appreciated the support of regional and international partners such as the United States, the United Kingdom, the European Union, and Brazil. Since the eve of Guyana's independence in 1966, Venezuela has claimed the Essequibo region. After decades of talks failed, the United Nations Secretary General referred the matter to the International Court for a full and final settlement. For Newsroom, Isanella Patwa.
I love the cable because they really look out for different groups of people. I'm on the creative pack, and they provide services tailored and dedicated to people just like me.
Introducing St. Kitts and Nevis' newest TV channel, Television Caribbean, TVC Channel 40 on the cable's Ultra TV. TVC promises to deliver the finest in television broadcasting in St. Kitts and Nevis and the Caribbean, with some of the best local programs in news, sports, and entertainment. Join us for insights where we delve into the lives of our guests.
Let me see what happened if I put this to it. Big explosion, like, okay, note to self, don't do that again.
Or get in-depth analysis on Newsline 360. We have sports, entertainment, and inspiration. It's all here on TVC Channel 40 on the cables Ultra TV, on Tel TV cable network in St. Martin, and on our website www.tvcplus.live. TVC Channel 40. See the difference.
Online radio has never been this great. It's Voice of the Caribbean Radio at voiceofthecaribbean.net. Tune into Voice of the Caribbean Radio for great Caribbean programs, news, entertainment, sports, and current affairs. Wake up each morning and be inspired with One Day at a Time with Kim Huey. Stay abreast with news across the Caribbean and internationally with the Caribbean News Hour, and be entertained with shows like Reggaeville, Caribbean Classics, and Jive Music Show. Visit our website or listen us on TuneIn Radio. There is so much more on Voice of the Caribbean Radio, reaching the Caribbean and beyond. Check website for program schedule.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
I love the cable because they're real. What you see is what you get. No hidden agenda, no tricks, just real honest communication.
Israel has just announced that it is canceling a planned meeting with the White House officials after the U.S. abstained in a UN Security Council vote that calls for, this is passed now, a ceasefire in Gaza.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had threatened to pull his delegation from the U.S. if it did not veto the measure, and it did not veto the measure. That team was here to discuss in the United States the planned new offensive in southern Gaza, but it's unclear what exactly will happen now.
It comes amid reports that Israel has accepted progress on a deal that would see dozens of hostages released. If Hamas agrees to this deal, they would release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners held in Israel. No word from Hamas on their take on that, what's on the table. Our political correspondent, Caitlin Huey-Burns, is at the White House for us. She's been following this. It's a big deal, Caitlin. UN Security Council resolutions are legally binding, although people do ignore them and have in the past because there's not a lot of enforcement. But it matters at the very least symbolically and definitely politically. So what happens now that Netanyahu has canceled these meetings that were going to take place?
Yeah, these are hugely symbolic. And given the U.S.'s position, they abstained from this vote, which means that this vote went through. If they were to have issued a veto, it would not have gone through. And the U.S. Is arguing, the administration is arguing, just telling reporters just now, that the reason that they abstained from this was because it did not include language that condemned Hamas. So that was something that they disagreed with in terms of the resolution. What's significant here, though, is the Israeli defense minister was already on the ground here, slated to meet already with Secretary of State Blinken, and Defense Secretary Austin. And those are likely to continue going through. And this comes, of course, as the U.S. has issued its concerns about the planned military involvement that Israel has in Rafah, the southern part of Gaza, which is, of course, where over 1 million Palestinians are sheltering here. They have strongly voiced their concerns about this. Blinken was in the region last week, made that clear to Netanyahu, and Netanyahu said that they would go it alone, even without the U.S. backing. And so this was part of those diplomacy efforts to kind of make that case. Kamala Harris, of course, too, over the weekend weighed in. She was asked about what kinds of consequences the U.S. could implement in terms of this, and she said essentially nothing is off the table.
So Caitlin, Tony and I were just looking at each other wondering what is going to happen and what isn't going to happen, because there was the political meetings, and then there's also the strategic meetings where Israel was going to send a delegation to show the U.S. the plan that it had for that incursion or invasion into Rafah. So where does that stand? Does this mean that Netanyahu is pulling all of it?
Well, the Israeli defense minister had already landed. So John Kirby, the spokesperson, was telling us earlier that those conversations can still happen. But what's significant here is the U.S., the administration, is trying to argue, look, we have not made any change in policy, trying to make that clear to Israel, that the priorities here are, of course, continuing to support Israel while also raising concerns about the humanitarian crisis and doing everything they can to address that. So this, comes also, of course, as the administration is under a lot of pressure here at home from the Democrats and people within their own party, really, putting pressure on Biden in the White House. We've seen that not only through statements made in the U.S. Congress, but also, of course, on the campaign trail as well.
So just before we went on the air, Caitlin, the press office for Minister Gallant, he's the Lloyd Austin of Israel, the defense minister, said that they are going forward with meetings. They're going to meet with Jake Sullivan. So there is going to be an exchange. I think, Israel says they have to go into Rafah. The U.S. approach has been, no, you can fight Hamas by other means, quote unquote. It's important that this meeting where the U.S. lays out what these other means are happens if Israel is going to be deterred from going into Rafah. So it sounds like, from what I'm seeing as of just 10, 15 minutes ago, that meeting is going to happen. Do you hear otherwise?
No, that high-level meeting with the defense minister and the Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense and, of course, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, he had already landed here, and those meetings are ongoing today and tomorrow. This was for the other delegation that was planned to also continue a lot of these kind of interagency talks.
Right. The political side of it, very important, the resolution and the fact that meeting now no longer happening. Caitlin Huey-Burns, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now to Russia, where 4 men accused in Friday's deadly terror attack in Moscow were taken to court over the weekend, appearing badly bruised and battered. Russia says 3 have admitted their guilt. ISIS also released video they claim shows the start of the assault, which killed more than 130 people. It's the deadliest terror attack in Russia in nearly 20 years. Deborah Pata is following this in a warning. Her report contains images some people may find disturbing.
Blindfolded, bruised and beaten, the terror suspects were quickly brought to court, while investigators continued to survey the smouldering wreckage of the aftermath over the weekend. On Friday night, armed men in combat fatigues burst into the Kropa City Hall near Moscow, a popular concert venue, and methodically began shooting the audience before setting the place ablaze. Videos posted on social media show people screaming and ducking for cover as the gunmen fired round after round of automatic gunfire. Outside, the building was engulfed in flames. Inside, concertgoers tried to escape the relentless gunfire, trapped in a crush of panicked people. Another video shows assailants moving with deadly intent through the complex as they gunned people down. Dozens were killed or injured. When Russian President Vladimir Putin finally spoke to a shocked nation, he ignored the glaring failure of his security forces to prevent the assault, despite a U.S. warning a few weeks earlier that ISIS was planning to strike.
Not only did they fail to prevent the attack, but the response was sluggish, with it taking almost an hour for federal forces to arrive at the site.
Although ISIS has claimed responsibility, Putin pointed a finger at Ukraine, saying an escape route had been prepared on the Ukrainian side. It is a charge Ukraine flatly denies, and the U.S. has categorically repudiated, but Russia needs Ukraine as a scapegoat.
Politically, it can't be ISIS for them, because that would just show how inept and incompetent they've become.
Jeff Horn added that the ISIS attack succeeded precisely because of Russia's incompetence and intelligence failures, and it came just days after Putin won a questionable landslide election victory. Vlad?
Deborah Pata, thank you.
The Sugar Boys ended their two-match international friendlies against San Marino in Europe on Sunday, March 24th, with a 0-0 draw after a 3-1 victory in the first match days prior. The result means that the Sugar Boys are unbeaten in the series and defied all the odds in the international media in claiming a victory against the European team. Now, national team coach Francisco Molina says it is important to build on this momentum, especially with crucial matches such as World Cup qualifiers approaching later this year.
Very happy for the boys. Very happy that we had 7 players that debuted in this camp, in this window. We had to switch a couple of things on our formation just because of players having to go back to their club teams, injuries, and like I said, formations. Very proud of the boys. This puts us in a positive pathway moving forward. Moving forward is very important for us to build up for the qualifiers. Like we said at the very beginning, these are not friendly games. These are preparation games for us. And we just got to keep on being positive and build from this. We have to build from this. We can't leave it. Even though we were not looking for a tie. I need to be clear with that. We're not looking for a tie. We're going for the win. And you know, being smart, and that's what we're trying to get the squad to understand, that we should not be forcing game. We should not be forcing the ball. Okay? Maintain possession, because that's one of our strong points. We're very skillful. We're very technical. We got to take advantage of that. So I'm very proud of the boys. You know, looking forward to what's coming in the qualifiers.
This summer, the Sugar Boys will be playing World Cup qualifiers against Grenada, Costa Rica, Trinidad and Tobago, and the Bahamas.